Do you have any specific questions about your deal right now, or waiting?
Not really. I mean, besides just like
There you go, Steve.
Would you want this chair?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I'll get another one. If people need one.
Hey, did you want to sell a house with me?
We'll probably have them
Hey, girl, you gotta give me something.
July is out, and I can next month.
All right.
Looking at it. Would that block everyone's view? If we.
No, I mean, the other computer.
Oh, no, I'll sit down. Thank you, though. Yeah.
You making jokes about people or what?
Right now, you're the only one on. Will you, It'll be a little delayed. Prop. Kevo prop.
Ready?
that's true. Because Jake's stepdad's brother is in there as well. Or he's broker. I just thought like 3 times.
Are you still Baca? Are you still on it?
Yeah. I just but you're good. Go ahead.
There's 2 people on it now. Is that us? Okay. 5 minutes. That's standard, I think. All right. To comp and accurately determine the price of a home. Before we actually get on some stuff, I was going to kind of tell you a little bit to kind of help you understand and help you explain. Because what you'll find out is once you comp a home, it's usually 5, 10, 15 grand less than what the homeowner wanted. So you're going to have to explain why we are the way we are. Is that better?
Well, we just know to see you while you're talking.
Okay. I'll stand in it. So, a couple of things we try to tell people when we are talking about their home. And you may have heard your mentor or someone else tell you this kind of stuff. When price meets condition, if you guys heard that, these are 2 things that you're going to want to arm yourselves with. Memorize these. When you go into listing appointments, we talk to people about homes, anything like that. So, the home will sell when the price meets the condition. Made a pretty little sell line. So if it's a $50,000 home that's been gutted on the inside, no plumbing, no electric, whatever, it'll sell as soon as you drop that price to where the condition meets the condition meets the price. Same for really expensive homes. When the condition meets the price, it'll sell. So if we are not selling, if we're sitting on the market and someone says, why are we sitting on the market? That's what we tell them. When the condition meets the price, it'll sell. So we either need to think about dropping price or think about making improvements to the house, whatever that may be. New paint job, new tile, new countertop, whatever it is. Because a lot of times a homeowner could do something cheaper than dropping the price. Because the way a buyer anticipates this is if there's a $3,000 countertop that needs to go in, they anticipate it costs $5,000, $6,000. So sometimes a homeowner can do something cheaper than what the buyer will want off the house. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it can be more beneficial to make the repair. I'm dealing with one right now where a house has some old green carpet, just not real desirable. He even didn't buy the house when he looked at it because it had green carpet. And finally they dropped the price enough where he said, okay, let's go look at it. He liked the house, never changed the carpet, moved into it. I mean, you saw it. So as soon as that price comes down to where the condition is, it's going to sell. Someone's going to buy it. So, you know what I'm talking about. So this is important when explaining why homes aren't selling and why we price them where they do. It's a very, very predictable matrix that you can put out. So that's something important to remember, to explain. Make sure you understand it. And sometimes asking someone who's removed from the situation, come in, ask, me, your mentor, anyone who, tell them to get in the head of a consumer. Look at this. Look at my pictures. Why is it not selling? Look at the pictures, and then you look at another house, and you can see this one has granite, this one has linoleum, and it's the same price. Okay, well, we either need to fix the countertops or we need to lower the price. So, very, very important. When comping a house and talking to someone about selling their home. So, a lot of times, and if you're calling for sale by owners, you'll see this a lot. You'll want to over-promise what you can do to them, maybe even say, I can sell your house for more. We can raise it by 1.5% and cover my commission, that kind of stuff. Don't overcommit yourself to a price. And a good way to kind of a disclaimer is this. You can't control the market. The market will dictate the price. As a realtor, as a professional, I can tell you what it may appraise for and what comparable houses around it have sold for, but I cannot tell you what the market will do. The market will dictate the price. So if no one's buying it, the market's rejecting your price, or they're rejecting your condition. Let's make a change. As soon as there's a real thin line too, so don't let your sellers get mad at you if you put something on the market and it sells in 2 days. Don't let them get mad that we underpriced it or something like that, because there's a very, very, very thin line between priced right, selling in 1 day, and sitting on the market for 6 months. But this is something, again, to arm yourself with these two things, because these are kind of your scapegoats almost, to kind of explain why something's not selling, and why we need to drop the price. The market will dictate the price. So that's a good out to say, because a lot of times, and even precede this statement with, I think your house is worth every penny. It's a beautiful home, but we're restricted by the comparable homes, and the market's going to dictate the price on the home. So if no one buys it, it's not worth that much. So write those down, understand those. If you have questions, get with your mentor, get with someone about them after. But those are two things that are going to help the seller understand what's going on with their price. Now we'll kind of. Sorry, it's really weird. I had one that I was going to do, but does anyone have a funny one or one they're working on right now that's not on the market yet or anything like that we can all look at together?
I put my house on the market.
You want to do your house?
Yeah.
All right, don't get upset with me.
No, it's okay. 1660.
All right, so this is going to be different for Texas people, Tulsa people, whoever's watching online, if anybody. Let's see. Yeah, just me and Baca. So, Texas people, there's just me and you watching online.
No, I get 3.
Oh, do you?
You're
I
probably
only
just
get.
not. You're probably just not. Yeah.
Okay. So this is going to be different. First thing you need to do is understand the size of the home, the neighborhood, specs of it, all that kind of stuff. That is going to be all told to you. Obviously, you can go in the house and look, but if you're comping it, someone calls you and say, hey, I want to put my house on the market. Here's the address. Go out to the assessor page, and if you don't know what the assessor page is, get really familiar with it. It's a really good resource for Oklahoma County homes. It gives you a lot of information. You can look at...
We got somebody back on. They just probably lost the connection.
Okay. You can look at... You can look at like what they bought it for, however long ago they bought it for. You can look at their mortgage and see what, bunch of crap. You're in Oklahoma County?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
1660. Victoria Place.
No level.
That's me.
Very good. All right. So, again, you can see all this stuff. You can see what we bought it for in 1998. You lived there a long time. Hot dog. You can see it's 1 story. Residential, year it was built, square footage. You can even get a drawing of it to see what the floor plan looks like in case you want to break into his house at night. And so here's where you're going to find the legal description. You'll need this for listing paperwork, when you're writing contracts, that kind of stuff. MLS will pull it up automatically a lot of times when you input listings, but again, this is where you can find it all. Most everything on the property you can find. You can click this button right here and go see property taxes that have been paid in the past, different years, that kind of stuff. So if you don't use this or don't know what it is, play around on it, because you can find some, might feel like an invasion of privacy, but it's all public information.
Brett, what do you think about the market value that's
Okay, for anyone who's watching, Darhan asked what I think about the market value on the county assessor page. I do not think it's worth anything. So I'll kind of explain why it's so different. These are typically going to be low. In some areas that are slow to appreciate, they may be more accurate. But in areas that are rapidly appreciating or appreciating at a normal rate, they're going to be really low here on the county, because taxable assessed values can only increase a certain amount each year. The county restricts it to 3 or 5% each year. So your house can only appreciate 3 to 5% each year due to the county, or according to the county. So you'll only pay an extra 3 to 5% taxable every year. The market can appreciate quicker than that, often has in the last 5 years. And so you bought the house back in 1998. I got to think, we'll find out. I'm not familiar with Pebble Creek. I gotta think it's appreciated much larger than the county thinks it has. So that's why. So a lot of times your buyers, you might hear this, get and say, well, the county said it's only worth 170, but it may be worth much more, much less, whatever. So same with the Zillow estimates, the Zestimates or Z estimates, those are garbage. Don't, as soon as you meet a client, and I always recommend my clients use Realtor.com because it pulls directly from the MLS. No one can edit it, no one can change it. Everything from the MLS, it's the public's version of the MLS. So recommend they do that. There's not going to be any stupid Zestimates or contact a realtor and it sends you some goof that's never sold anything. And so don't use Realtor.com. But yeah, so the Zestimates, Z estimates, whatever you call them, assessed value on here, they're usually going to be inaccurate because they don't pull comparable properties. This increases at a certain percentage, and Zillow grabs data from what they consider to be comparable properties, but it's a algorithm. It has no human touch to it. All right. Can I answer your question?
Yes, you know.
Okay. So the answer is it's not. It's not accurate. All right. So we are going to comp 1616 Victoria. So the first thing I always do too is just get an idea where it's at if I'm not familiar with it. This is me, obviously.
Yes.
Edmond, place or drive?
Place.
Okay. Danforth and Santa Fe. So try to pull an area. First, I always try to comp only within the addition. If there's enough to give you an accurate value within the addition, try not to go outside of it because that's what an appraiser is going to do. If you're stretching for value for some reason, you need to reach value and you can go outside the area and you might get another couple dollars a foot, another $5,000 to $10,000. Try it, but for the most part, an appraisers, if they can get everything in the addition, that's what they're going to try to do. So that's what we need to try to do. Because if you pull from the neighborhood next door and raise your price, well, then the buyer's just going to go to the neighborhood next door. Why would they buy your house? So we try to stay within, we're going to try to stay within Pebble Creek. He's in the third edition, but we're just going to comp all of Pebble Creek. Go down to the legal edition in the MLS. That's that HDMI. Someone turn me off? Okay, so this is a good rule of thumb too. If you see the asterisk I put on the back of it, so if I just type in Pebble Creek, it's going to look up exactly Pebble Creek. It's not going to look up Pebble Creek third. If one of the realtors fat fingered it and only put one B in Pebble, it's not going to pull that up. No, that won't now anyway. So, so sometimes they put third, sometimes they put third edition, sometimes they put 3. So if you do that, it's going to pull up the entire Pebble Creek. So we'll see, as you can see down here, it's got 8 matches. I don't know how many there are, how many Pebble Creeks there are. Yeah, there's one in Norman too. So here's the addition. This is everything for sale in Pebble Creek right now. So I'm just going to isolate it to get rid of that one in Moore or Norman, wherever it was. Jesus, guys. What's going on here?
Stand on one leg, stick your tongue out to the right.
Why is it just turning off? Steve messing with me?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Okay. So we're going to isolate the neighborhood. You can see I grabbed some extra neighborhoods here and here, but I have it isolated to Pebble Creek, so I just did that to get rid of Moore or Norman. And if I do something and I don't explain it and someone has a question, just stop me. I'm sure someone else has questions too. So we can use pending comps. Appraisers don't. They take them into consideration, but they don't use them to actually set a comp. But we'll use them because it means someone priced the house at that value and it's under contract now. So someone obviously liked it. So we'll use it to get an idea. We don't use actives to comp either. I've had sellers say, well, this one down the street's listed at $1 million, but it's been sitting there for 8 months. Okay, well, we're not going to use that as a comp. So we'll use primarily solds. We want to stay within 3 months, but if we can't find, I mean, there's 16, so I got to think I can find some good. All I really need is about 4 to 6 good comps. There's 16 here, so I think I can find one. So we'll go back. You're on Victoria, so there's 2 on his street. Oh, that's on Rashid. There's 1 on his street. Is that your street?
Yes. Yes, I'm sorry.
Or are you on Place?
Place.
Okay. So there's a couple in there, but you can see good grouping in that addition. We should be able to get pretty good comps here. So again, I'll find out. Let's say I don't want to call Bill back because he was busy or something. We can find sale of similar properties. Again, some people try to comp on this, and it does have sold prices, but still it doesn't take into account condition of a property, location of a property. If it's on a main street, if this house backs out onto Santa Fe, it's going to comp it as if it doesn't, as if it's just in the middle of the neighborhood. So these aren't quite as accurate either. They're going to be closer, but not quite as accurate. So I can see from here, Bill lives in a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1969 square feet. So my next, when using price per square foot, if anyone was here, pause that. If anyone was here when the appraiser, Jill, came by and talked, she kind of discounted the price per square foot a little bit. Realtors strictly use price per square foot, which is weird because appraisers don't use it at all. And when they do use it, it hurts us how they use it. And if you weren't here for that, get with one of us afterwards. We can kind of give you a crash course on it. But price per square foot is going to work when it's a comparable property. And we think comparable property means it's in within 3 miles. That's not what a comparable property is. Comparable property is same number of beds, same number of bath, same number of garages, and within 15% of the square feet. Plus or minus 15% of the square feet. Typically, it's going to be like 200-300 feet, plus or minus. When that's the case, then we can use price per square foot a little more. We can rely on it a little more. But if I'm selling a 1916 or 1969 square foot, and there's a comp that's 1,200 square feet, that's not a comp. Price per square foot are going to be probably pretty different. Vary quite a bit. So that's what we would consider comparable property, and this is when we can really rely on price per foot. So if I can find 6 that are exactly the same, then I'll have some pretty good comps, and I'll have some pretty good ideas. So we'll see if we can do that. So I'm just going to say 17. So plus or minus 200 from 1,900 feet. So I have 8 down from 18 down to from 16 down to 8. I'll bet most of them are 3 2s. 2 of them aren't. 2-car garage. Okay, so there you go. I've got 6. Some of them are going to be active. So I've really only got 1 sold. What's happening?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we've got 1 sold. I would rather go back in time. Steve, Baca, do you expand these criteria a little bit, like 1.5 bath, or do you go back in time further?
I would take the baths off and just keep watching the numbers. And then if you can't, then I go backwards in time.
Okay, so
The appraiser can go backwards.
he can go back to a year, but if there's one that's a year that really helps you out, and there's one that's 2 months that really hurts you, he's going to use the 2-month one because it's more recent. So we took away the bath. That just gave us 1. I would rather go. Are you one of the bigger homes, or you're one of the bigger ones? Okay, so small. They're gonna. If I go smaller, there'll be more. So a smaller home is gonna hurt us in comps. Yeah, there's 2 more there.
How come a smaller home's going to hurt us?
So appraisers, good question. For people watching, if there's anyone, Baca, if you're watching, appraisers, the way they use price per square foot is, let's say Pebble Creek is selling at $100 a foot. When they make their price per square foot adjustments, they give you 50% value to adjust. So if a home is smaller by 100 square feet, they're not going to give you 100 times 100. They're going to give you 50 times 100 to go up. So if it's a larger comp, it's going to help you because it's going to go down more than it will go up less. Does that make sense at all?
So,
Maybe I see a lot of blank faces.
so you're saying you're going to go 100% for if you're going up.
No, so an appraiser is only going to give you 50%
50%.
of the average price per square foot.
Okay.
So if we're selling at $100 a foot on average in here, he's going to give you $50 a foot up or down.
Okay.
So if he's adjusting from 1,600 square feet to 1,900, he's only going to give you $50 a foot for that 300 square foot adjustment instead of $100 a foot like me or you would give it. Does that make sense?
Like a normal
Okay.
person.
Yeah, so they don't use price per square foot the same way that we use price per square foot. So that's why a smaller comp in the appraiser's eyes will hurt you. A larger comp will assist you. It won't hurt you. It'll just hurt you less. Does that make sense? Because that's kind of complicated and no one expects that. It doesn't make any sense. I had long arguments with appraisers about this.
The
Futile.
reason Brett knows this so well is because he has argued with more appraisers than anybody else.
Yeah.
So.
I've got about 50 of them in my phone. Okay, so again, we have a lot of actives and pendings, not just 2 solds. So let's back it up a little bit. Back it up another month. There we go. We got a couple more. So 3 solds and a pending. That'll give us a pretty good idea. Appraisers get 4 to 6 good ones. Appraisers can go outside the neighborhood, but they probably won't if they've got good comps. And most of them are lazy, so they're not going to try very hard.
So you're not going into that profession.
No. Maybe just to
We
change
have that
it.
recorded.
Good, I hope they're watching. Light a fire under them. Alright. Okay, so we broke our criteria down. Again, I went below 15% in the square footage just because he's one of the higher. So because he's one of the higher square foot homes in the neighborhood, his price per square foot is going to be negatively affected.
To be lower.
It's going to be a lower price per foot because price per foot is important. It helps. It's a metric, a benchmark. But really, neighborhoods have ceilings. They have dollar value ceilings. At some point, I'm not going to pay over $200,000 to live in this neighborhood, even if it's a 4,000 square foot house, because I'll go somewhere else and pay $200,000. It has higher finish, nicer finishes, higher end neighborhood, better schools, whatever. So there's a ceiling to neighborhoods, and if you get near that ceiling, your price per square foot starts going down. It won't allow it to go higher. So I went to 120 days back. I went down to 1,600 square feet, which is a little more than I probably should have, but I tried to grab comps. Sticking with 3 beds, sticking with 2 garage. Found a handful, all nearby, all within a couple of blocks. So here are my results. So the sales, the solds here are going to be really good. I customize my whatever you call this, my results page, so I can see price per foots in one glance, year built in one glance, sold, all this stuff. I do this for my open houses. If you want, I can show you how. So just by looking at it,
How did you get that to come up?
what's that?
Where you have the square footage, price per square foot.
So I customized it. So you see how I have my 4 arrows here on my mouse? So once you get up here where there's 4 arrows, click it, and you can insert column.
Okay.
And then you can just go, like, I can add days on market, LP per, it's already on there. So you can add anything that you can search in MLS can be added here to look at.
Okay.
So
I can adjust it, but I don't. How do you save it?
So
Because
up
every
here,
time I go in, it doesn't.
yeah, so up here, set default, and you say set current display, order, and count as my search starting default. And that'll set it. Mine still opens up on the default agent single line, but every time I come in, I'll just go to my open house, which is what I call it. So I filtered it by list price per square foot. So it looks like on average, if the home was in average condition, probably sell for 91, 92 a foot. Let's take off the actives. Does everyone know what a one-line CMA is? Okay, it's this. It's much easier than running a full CMA. That's a pain in the butt. Just run these, it's easier. Gives you averages. So pendings and sold. So the houses under contract are averaging at 91 a foot. And again, I can use footage for the most part because I stuck within my comparable properties. If I'm comping a historic neighborhood, there's a lot more variances in the square footages and the finishes on the inside. Some of them are gutted, some of them are original. This was built in the 90s, 80s, 90s, so they're all going to be pretty similar still. So I'm able to rely on price per square foot a little more because I've stuck within my comparable property parameters pretty well. So it makes it easier if there's more comparable properties. So 91 a foot is what the average pendings are. You can't put a whole lot of weight in these because every one of these could have sold for 10 grand under list. We don't know. We don't know yet. But sold properties, which helps us, are selling around 93 a foot. So you can make the argument that values are decreasing. Unless there's just one that brings it down. They're also all under 30 days, except for one, and these are all under 30 days, so it might be a good time to list. Oh, are you really? Oh. I'm going to charge you for this. So, let's see. Is that all of them? Just to give us an idea. So so even the listing prices are going down a little bit per foot. So, like I said, he's going to be one of the larger ones. Most of them are about 1,600, 1,700 feet, a couple of 19s. So I'm just going to do it here.
Yeah, don't badmouth 1705 Victoria Drive.
Is that yours?
It is mine, yeah.
I'm about to. I'm going to rip it. Which one is it?
It's the active one's $97 per square foot. It's long story.
They are set on their price.
That's high.
They were lower when they were for sale owner, and then when we switched that, I told them like, well, here's what it's gonna sell for, but you know, we can do any price you want to start at as long as we're flexible. Like, yeah, let's do 172.
Not good.
All right. Well, we'll give it a shot, but let's be quick about it.
So you look at like list prices. Average sale price is gonna be around 172. They're all real close in there. These are all pretty close. So 172, you really shouldn't go into the 180s, which you're at least not in the 180s. You're right around 172. So you're an average sales price. So we'll say 93. That's the average. Puts you at 183. So if we did the average price per foot on his large home, we're going to go over. He'll be the most expensive house in the neighborhood, which he should be because he's the biggest. But it's going to sit there probably. Unless it's got something really cool in it, pool or anything. No. Just build.
Does Bill come with the house?
Yeah.
Maybe we can make something up. We can make an arrangement there.
Everything's negotiable, right? So let's see what the highest thing is sold for. 175 is the highest listing. 175 is the highest pending. So one did sell for 182. And it was the same price, same size as yours. So we could try. I would say the highest we could probably go is right about. I'd recommend we list it. It should probably sell for around 175, 175. But we can go as high as 185 would be the highest I'd recommend. Knowing that we might have to drop the price.
So my house has doubled since I bought it.
It's not a bad investment. Yeah. So again, you can set parameters. It's important to tell your people where you think it'll sell at. It'll probably, everything's selling in the 170s. I know it's big, but people, that's just kind of where it'll sell at. So it'll probably sell a little closer to $90 a foot, which, 177.5 is kind of what I was thinking. Would be a good contract price on it. Might have to do some closing costs, junk like that. So set that again. The biggest thing you can do as a realtor is set expectations on your clients. Let them know based on these, we'll probably end up around 175, 177.5. But we're the largest in the neighborhood. I think we can go a little higher if someone needs that extra footage. Maybe we go up to 180. We start at 180, 182.5, whatever we want to. But we need to know that if we're not getting the traffic we want, we need to be prepared to drop it. So another important part is asking what their situation is. If they have to be out in 30 days, we want to be more aggressive with the price. They can wait. If they're waiting on a house to be built or something, maybe we go higher. But that is kind of it. I'm trying to
Right,
think.
you're not gonna look at the other houses that have sold. I mean, it's like compare.
So this is okay. So having not seen his house, this is like a pre-listing.
Okay.
So he said, Bill calls me, says, I'm thinking about listing my house. Here's the address. Okay, I'll meet you on Tuesday for a listing appointment.
Right.
I pull this. I'm telling him this is what I think. Having not seen his house, looking at the other houses won't help me much. I mean, I can look at this, the other one that's the same. It's probably the exact same floor plan if I had to guess. Where is it? Didn't one sell for 180 something? This is
179.
It was 179.
179.
Yeah, it was listed at 180.
Yeah, it started at 182. They dropped it down to 179. And it sold. Oh, this is a modern one too. Is that what yours looks like?
No.
Does yours have a storm shelter?
No.
Might be looking closer to 140 then.
Bathtub is my storm shelter.
Bathtub is the whole Oklahoma standard. It's okay.
Yeah.
You get some stuff that's in there.
Get in
it's
a
tight,
doorway.
but,
Just
you
get
know.
to a doorway. That's earthquakes in there. Okay, so once you go out, you see the condition of the property, and it may not hurt to look at the highest and the lowest, get a variance, look at some right in the middle, have an idea. But most of the time, this is a fairly new neighborhood. That's 20 or 30 years. It's not an 80 to 100-year-old neighborhood. Most of them are still going to be pretty similar. So you can kind of get away with it. Comping stuff down in like the urban core areas where there's 80 to 100-year-old houses, tons of redevelopment going on, can be a little trickier. Streets matter a lot more in internal Oklahoma, the urban core. One street can be really, really bad, and the next street can be really, really good. Important stuff to look at. Really, I think that the hardest part when I got started was I had to get past a mental block. I'm telling this person what his house is worth, and I don't want to leave money on the table, and I don't want to have it sit there for a year either. So I think I was more nervous than not knowing what to do. And so it's kind of a mental block. You have to get over it. And really the best way to understand it and get better at it is to do as many as you can. Comp your house, comp your friend's house. If you see someone on your team has a new listing, comp it. See if you agree with their list price. Stuff like that. Just get used to it. Because the more you do it, the better you are. If I had sat down and done this myself, I could have done it in like 3 minutes, really, really quickly, because this is a pretty easy one. But at the beginning, I was just scared. I was like, I wanted 10 people to double check it for me, because it's a lot of responsibility. But it's really not that difficult. There are some difficult ones. You've got land with a mansion on it or a mobile home on it. Been a lot of those recently for some reason. Or like I said, if you're down in the middle of the urban core and you have a house that needs to be gutted next to $1 million house or vice versa, it can be a little trickier. But for the most part, 75% of the city is going to be fairly easy to comp. The newer the house is, the easier it's going to be to comp. And then I think that's it. Do you want to have any questions about what I did or why I didn't do this or that?
I'm just curious, what if you have a house that's, let's say, close with square footage with the rest of the comparables, but it's a bedroom short or a bathroom short or a garage space short? Or
Yeah, so a what an appraiser's going to do is look at this stuff. Because I've argued the exact same thing. I had a house that was the exact same square footage as mine. It was 2 bed, 2 bath. I was selling a 3 bed, 2 bath, and he didn't use it as a comp, and it would have helped me. But he said it's a 2 bedroom. It's not a comparable property, which I agree with, but I didn't at the time. So really, really, really try to stay in here. Look at some old appraisals if you have access to them. If you're the listing agent on some, sometimes they'll give them to you if it's appraisal issues, or if you're the buying agent, they'll give them to you sometimes. Look at them and see what kind of adjustments they make. Every appraiser is different. One appraiser might give you $2,500 for an extra half bath. One appraiser might give you $3,000. One might give you $6,000 for a full bath. They all vary. There's no standard, which is another thing that's annoying. But they'll give you different footages. Usually about $5,000 per garage door you have, or per garage door they have to adjust for. So if you have a 1 car and someone has a 3 car, which is unusual, but they'll adjust $10,000 on that. And then I kind of explained how they adjust on footages. But try to stay here because that's where they're going to stay for the most part. And they'll go wide and they'll go into the past to try to stay here versus the one right next door that sold a week ago. They're not going to use that one if it's a 2 bed and yours is a 3. For the most of the time, most appraisers.
Yeah. Take my neighborhood, for example. It's literally 4 streets, north-south, 2 streets, east-west. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
In this neighborhood, as I've been there for 5 years, I've noticed the house down the street in the cul-de-sac, of course its location too, sold within 3 or 4 days. My next door neighbor, her house was on the market for an eternity.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know she was stubborn and she wanted more, but she probably, should have asked for. But if you have a client that is willing to just go with anything you think their house is worth. In other words, I'm the homeowner and she comes in and she says it's worth, 183 is what you should price it at, and I have no clue, and I just go, okay. My question is, do you put their house on the market closer to the comparable sales, or asking for more, wanting to come down?
Anticipation of negotiating. That's a preference. I am a little
My
more.
neighbor sells like that,
Yeah.
and the fact that hers was on the market for 6 months was
Yeah.
blowing me away.
It kind of depends. I would take into account different aspects of it, where the neighborhood is. Are houses selling in one day in those neighborhoods? Is the price 400 or is it 150? Different stuff. Because if I'm below 200 or below 175, chances are buyers are going to ask me for closing costs. There's a good chance of it. So maybe we add on an extra $2,500 for a price anticipation of that. If it's $400,000, you don't have to worry about that most of the time. And if you do, it's still a $400,000 house. You'll be fine. So it kind of varies. I mean, I don't know. Do you comp a house and then tack on $5,000 for negotiating? I'm more. This is the price, and if there's a lot of interest, I'll be real firm. But if it sits there for 6 months and we don't get anything, well, then we have to get a little.
Yeah, I'm surprised. This is as I'm becoming a realtor, and I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm
And
thinking,
have
what
you
is that
been in it?
realtor saying to her?
Have you been in the house that sold one day and her house?
Yes.
You've been in both of them, and they're comparable
built.
condition.
All built the same year. The same builder built this entire neighborhood, just boom, dropped it into the middle of nowhere. So
And
it's
one's
all-
not ugly and one's not
yeah,
pretty.
no. One
Sounds like you need to have a
backyards
real
are
serious
even.
conversation with her and list her house.
Well, it's
Well, she didn't know what to do. That's the problem.
It literally just sold.
Oh, it just
Like a
sold.
month
Okay.
ago. And I felt like, poor sucker. How
Yeah.
much did you spend on that house? You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
I mean, most of the time, if you look at a house, I'll tell you what's wrong with it really quickly. Most of the time. Sometimes there's a house I'm just like, why is this not selling? I've got 2 right now, but
A lot of times you have to remember consumer confidence, it's kind of that deal nobody understands, like in the stock market. And a lot of times days on market can create doubt in the buyer's mind.
and I tell always.
What's the first question people ask? How much is it? Because they forgot when you bought the house, right? The second question is, how long has it been on the market? Because they're gauging what kind of offer they could make on it, right? Because if if it's because they think if it's been on longer, then I can offer less.
That's what they're really asking is how much
Right.
can I offer less?
Right, but if you go, if let's say houses are selling in 2 weeks, and you go, it's been on the market 76 days, they go, well, what's wrong with it?
Yeah.
Right, so it creates that doubt in their mind.
Yeah.
And so now you've got negative, what I call negative emotional value, where people are going, they're walking in, they like it, but that creates doubt, and so they start backing off.
Yeah.
And they're looking for reasons why it hasn't sold.
And
they're thinking, if I buy it, am I going to have trouble selling?
Yeah.
Right.
So all that's happening in about 2 seconds.
And I try to encourage people not to take days on market into account because
you're a good realtor.
Yeah.
So yeah, don't let that kill it.
Yeah. Because really, I've sold an ugly, awful house in one day, and it's because the right person walked in and bought it. Had that person not existed or been out of town that weekend, it had sat for 7 months. I know it would have. I told them it might sit for a while, and because they didn't want to they didn't want to do anything to the house, and the right person bought it. And I've had awesome houses that sit. It takes there's a house for every person, and our job is to get foot traffic, get as many people through that house until that right person sees it. That's our job. So days on market just means the right person hasn't seen it. Doesn't mean it's anything wrong. Now, if we get the inspection back and it's something wrong, well, then there's something
Yeah,
wrong.
but the average Joe's going to think there is something wrong.
And that's what you have to discount it
Because
before
I'm
it's
new
an
to
issue.
this business, and I'm probably the closest to being brand new in this business, and I'm looking at it as a layperson who doesn't know anything about real estate.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I would have
Mhm.
thought. I can lowball them because they're desperate now. They've been on the market almost 6 months.
Well, that could be the case.
The other thing, I've had stuff sit for 3 or 4 months, and then we get multiple offers.
Yeah, I've been involved in that
happens
too.
That happens sometimes too, because a couple of people might be interested, and if you're a good realtor and a listing agent, a couple of people are like, well, we're kind of interested in it.
Leverage
and you
it.
get an offer, then you just use that one to leverage that and get
Yeah.
multiple offers. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh, Michael had one. Michael.
Yeah, a couple of things. Back on the county database part, a lot of times I've been going there and just hitting the subdivision sales, and it gives you just kind of a
Comps.
flash
Yeah.
of what the houses are sold for. And another thing, I'm working with a couple of different investors, and what we're doing is they're looking for flip houses, basically. So we're going out and doing things, and I've been trying to make a decision for one person or another, or help them make a decision. It's like, okay, we buy this, what's going to be the fix-up
The
cost?
resale.
Yeah, and the resale. And just basically the same process. I mean, as far as
Yeah.
what the house is
So
gonna
you
sell
can.
for and everything.
That's almost a little easier because you can take the highest 1 or 2 sales. Is anyone watching right now? They are. Okay. So the question was, stop. The question was, if you're helping someone who wants to renovate a house, how do you determine the after repair value? And that's almost a little easier because you can take the top 2 sales and say, well, this is what they looked like and they sold in this many days or for this much money, and say if we can make our house look like this at this price and it still makes sense, tell them this is probably what it's going to sell for. And that varies again from neighborhood to neighborhood, but really just look at the top 2 houses and say, top 2 or 3 houses and say, this is where we can put it, assuming the market continues.
And then the investor's going to price it like $5,000 above that.
5, 10, 15, and then you're going to do less work, all kind of crap. Blaine, you had, did you
No,
have,
just on Michael's comment,
Yeah.
because we will teach eventually one of these Saturdays will be on an investor class.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good one.
There is a formula that I teach that goes through how to buy an investment house. If a house, you can automatically tell if you've got a neighborhood that their max comp, so let's say it's going to be $100 a square foot. If you can't buy that house for $30 less a square foot, it's impossible for it to work.
Okay.
I mean, it's impossible. It will not work out mathematically unless it's 30. If they can't buy it for at least 70. There's not enough profit margin in it after the rehab is involved. So if it's not $30, if it's a $50 a foot neighborhood, you're gonna have to buy it for $20 a foot, or it's never gonna work out. It doesn't make any difference. The size or price, and that holds true with Nichols Hills, Vesta Park, the Village, anywhere. It's got to be a minimum of 30. You normally need to start out at trying to get $40 spread. That's when you've got that leaves you some margin for error. So if with an investor, if you look at a house and it's $100, you need to buy it for 70. You go into the county records and realize this person can't even sell it for that, without bringing money to the table. It's usually not even worth time to put the offer on. What you're looking for is once you find a distressed piece of property, then go back and look at the county records and see and try to make an estimate. Like, okay, they bought the house 5 years ago. They paid $100,000 for it. I'm going to have to offer $70,000. It's never going to work. Well, you know they can't bring $30,000 to close. So it's not even worth your time to write the offer. But you have to have at least $30 per it won't work.
For Adrian, we're going to be teaching an investor class later, so we'll catch you up on that. Blaine, you had something.
I think it was answered. I was just thinking of an easy way to explain this to sellers and buyers, the graph that you're using. That we should have a buyer that falls on the sell line, but we just don't know when.
Mm-hmm.
They could walk in 2 days, they could walk in 3 months.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, again, so I think how I would say is there's a home for every buyer. Again, as a realtor's job, they're trying to get as much volume through that house and for that right person to see it. If you're trying to explain it to a buyer, again, setting expectations is big. As a consumer, you think, yeah, days on market's bad. As a professional, you need to stop people from looking at Zillow estimates, doing all the stuff that makes our job harder. So stop them from doing that and just say, this one's been on the market for a little while, but it's a great neighborhood. I don't see anything wrong with it. It's just waiting for the right person. And try to discount the days on market too. Just say that doesn't really mean anything.
The more confident you are about that, the more confident we're.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Okay, so every one of my comps is around $10,000 higher than I think the house I'm looking at should sell for because they're all white walls, white painted kitchens, exactly the same house, exactly the same neighborhood, exactly perfect comp. However, wallpaper everywhere. Just no updating whatsoever. What's the price?
Are updated with paint, probably new countertops, carpet, whatever. All the comps are updated, and then this one's original with wallpaper, and it's ugly. So how do we comp it? How much lower do we comp it?
And use the if there's a job to do, it costs double.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of talked about. Did I talk about that earlier? Yeah, it's price and condition. So you're basically saying how much is it going to cost to bring it up to standard, and that's how much lower we need to price it, right? So, like he said, if it really costs $2,500 to put granite countertops in, the buyer thinks I need $5,000 off the price because they don't know, they're going to have to hire someone, whatever, or they're just savvy and they're trying to take you to cleaners. So, really, tell them to. I'm trying to think of an easy way. A lot of it's just kind of. Yeah, I mean, so.
Take it down.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing.
They don't want to do anything.
They don't want anything, but they've seen all these houses in their neighborhood sell for $120.
So
basically, what I would tell my clients in that situation is I was go, I'm fine with it if you want to leave it up. It costs $25 now for $5,000 to fix it.
Yeah, they're gonna want money off of that.
So people also think, well, I don't want to spend money on my house.
Right.
Okay, I don't want to spend any money. What if they don't like it? What if they don't like the paint color? Which that's all BS. Okay, but what you want to tell them is you're not spending the money. You're putting it in a bank account, which is your house, and you're going to get it back out of closing. So any money you spend fixing it up, making actual good repairs, at the guidance of your realtor, any amount of money you spend, you're putting it in a savings account, and you're getting it back out.
He's a better realtor than me. And to kind of elaborate on what Steve said earlier, he was saying $30 a square foot spread for a rehab, something I want to flip and invest in. The reason he says that is he thinks it's going to cost $15 a foot to repair it cosmetically, and then he wants $15 a foot for profit. So if the whole thing needs to be once over, paint, tile, carpet, everything, $15 a foot to make it nice. Now to lipstick it's going to be less, but $5 to $15 a foot.
Well, that's really all it is lipstick. It's still curly Q cabinet painted white.
Yeah.
And white walls.
Yeah.
Just no wallpaper. That's the only difference. But
that's a good way to say it. You're either going to pay for it now or you're going to pay for it in the price later. So if you don't want to do anything, well, let's take $10 a foot off of this thing because that's what's going to cost someone to update it themselves.
There's some items that, let's say, they're outdated, but if if the seller does it themselves, then it might be something that the buyer doesn't like. Is there any case where it's better to give an allowance for something?
I mean, a popular one's gonna be carpet allowance, just because, like you said, someone might think, well, I don't want to put in beige carpet if this guy wants to put in shag or I don't know, something like that. So you can on stuff like that. Example, I told you earlier, I have a house that has green carpet. I'm pretty confident that if we just put a normal carpet in that's not green, it's going to appeal to everybody or more people. So stuff like that, I'm trying to convince him now to do it. He's going to do it. He's just looking for prices and stuff. He's moved out of it now.
Yeah, when people give you that objection, well, I don't want to pick it because they might like something different, you got to kill that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, if that's the case, then builders would leave their houses just completely like white walls and no carpet.
Stick face.
It's like decisions, and you have to appeal to the largest demographic.
Right.
Okay? So a lot of the times when you're asking your seller, okay, we have to ask who our customer is for this neighborhood. And that's the demographic that we're going to appeal to. It's like, listen, the builders built all these houses with tan walls, tan carpet, or gray walls, and dark, whatever the color is. But you have to make that decision for the customer because the customer doesn't know what they want.
Mm-hmm.
They just walk in and they go, oh, I like it.
95% of buyers can't visually. They can't wrap their head around making repairs. They don't have any idea what prices are going to cost. Again, they think everything's going to be double than what it really is. And they can't wrap their head around, I see green carpet, but it'll look normal with beige carpet. They can't wrap their head around that. They can't think, oh, this thing just needs a paint job. 90% of buyers can't make that association in their head. So do it for them.
Yeah, we're a generation. Remember that everybody used to go, oh, we can fix this up. People don't do that anymore. They just want to walk in and for it to be done. So we're out of that generation, and you can. It's not when you're communicating this to the customer. This is not you saying this. This is what the market is saying. This is what the new generation is saying. This is what the demographic for your house is saying. Right? They're saying we're buying houses that are ready to go, move in ready.
For a house where you can't find any comps or where they aren't there, would you ever advise a seller to get an independent appraisal?
No.
Can I take it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sarah, unless you got one. I think we explained this during the appraisal meeting, maybe. I can't remember. So if I hire a guy to come out and appraise my house, he's going to be real conservative. He's going to put it right in the middle, and he's just going to give us a price probably lower than what we want, lower than what we think, because he has nothing on the line. You pay him, he gives you a value. He's done. If we list it and get a contract, well, then he's got a goal to hit. Now he's trying to reach that price. And so he looks for comps to justify that price. Because I've one appraiser who I thought was pretty good. He said, by the time I'm involved, there's been 2 realtors, 2 consumers, realtors, lenders. There's been a lot of professionals involved. I just come in to verify. And he was a good appraiser, and he worked really. He didn't appraise my property, but I could tell he was good and yell at him. And so they just try to verify. So if you just say, come appraise, they might say it's worth $150, but if you get a contract for $175, he could probably stretch it somewhere, find another comp, whatever it may be, something like that.
So then if there are no comps, you just go with what the seller wants to do?
There's
like kind of float it and see what happens?
So when you say there are no comps, give me the scenario.
It's 9501 Regal Lane.
Okay.
And it's a small neighborhood. There's one block on one side of a lake and another block on another side of a lake. They don't connect. It's a neighborhood where there's a wide disparity between all of the houses.
Sure.
So people are buying houses and like they'll tear it down and put up something modern.
Where is this neighborhood?
It's off Britton Road between Rockwell and McCarthy.
Okay.
Is the house on Britton Road?
No.
Okay, so it's like
it's 1 acre on a lake in town.
What's the name of the neighborhood?
Regal Lake Estates.
Regal Lake Estates.
I've had, if it's something like on a lake, there's about 3 or 4 lake communities.
Yeah.
Blue Stem, Twin Lakes.
Twin Lakes.
There's about 3 or 4 lake communities out west.
Yeah.
Pool comps. So again, fee right here. But if it's something special like on a lake, well then at on a lake. Doesn't have to be in that neighborhood. If it's really weird, like that, an acre on a lake, and there's no sales in that neighborhood, then go out and find another house on a lake, same square footage, get within about 10 years, plus or minus 10 years, being built.
Ski Island's a really good example of that. You want to talk about disparity between houses and condition, right? And Ski Island, that's a really good example. But basically, what you do is you go, okay, for a lake, because there are comps for that house, but they're just not in that neighborhood.
Right.
So we're going to go outside the neighborhood, in that general area, because you've got Twin Lakes relatively close, you've got Ski Island relatively close.
Bluestem.
You're going to pick. You're gonna do some selection, and that's gonna give you a picture of what those houses are selling for. And this is what you're gonna tell your client. This is from listening the right way. You're gonna go, listen. We're always guessing on the value as realtors. We don't know exactly because it's not a science, right? It is an emotional decision. So we can price it here. Here's where I think it's gonna sell, but ultimately the market is gonna determine where that house is going to sell. So here's how many showings we're looking for. Here's the days on market. If we're not getting showings and offers within this period of time, it's time to lower the price, right?
Or update the condition.
But even Brett told you, even a crap house will sell if the price is low enough.
Right.
Sell swampland in Louisiana for $2 an acre. But it'll sell.
Yeah, an appraiser will take the property. There's a lot of rural properties in Deer Creek or way out, and the way they price them is they'll go and go, okay, so you got an acre, so forget the houses on it. They'll price acre lots like they're saying just all over. What's an acre of land going to cost? So then you can establish, okay, it's somewhere between, a neighborhood is probably going to be between 60,000 and maybe 85,000 in older neighborhoods. So you'll comp. So then you go like, okay, I know I've got some value for that, which is probably going to be $85, but just guessing. Well, I'm probably wrong by $3. But anyway, there you go. But then you can also look in the neighborhood and go, okay, new construction. If somebody's rehabbing a property in there, and find out the value of what that would be, or if they've scraped a house and rebuilt in a neighborhood. Let's say somebody spent $130 a foot. Well, you're never going to get $130 a foot for your house. But then you can back off. Then you make it where could somebody rehab? They could dump another $50,000 in it, but that means you're going to back that off by $50,000 compared to the other one. But you're going to have to get really you break it up in little pieces instead of trying to find because it'd be really hard to find that house with an acre, and then it's going to be the right size because blue stem, blue quail. Those neighborhoods range anywhere from 2,000 square feet to 7,000 square feet. They're all over the place. Yeah. So you're going to have to pick apart all of it. Just price them by the piece.
Yeah, which I think is land plus improvements or the appraisal value, the appraisal time.
A land can't ever be more than 20% of the value of the house anyway. So if you have $100,000, if you have to spend $100,000 for a lot. Okay, well,
you're about to build a big damn house.
It's just mathematics because when they go to get their loan, you can't build, let's say you're going to build a 1,500 square foot house and people get this in their head. Okay, I want to buy, 10 acres and I want to spend $100,000, but I only want to put a 1,000 square foot house on it. The bank is not going to loan them the money. It's just not, it doesn't actually, the numbers jack up between the bank. There's loan. Now they pay cash, but that's one of our problems that we get into in communities is people have too much money and no taste.
And dollars and cents.
If you're fortunate to get a listing over 5,
it's gonna be real hard to find. It's got a mobile home on it. So if there's a 1 acre or 5 acre plot out east of Choctaw, way out there, it's 2 hours apart, or an hour apart, but it's still a comp because it's a rural plot with a mobile home on it. An appraiser will get creative if they have to. They don't like to. Like doing the land plus improvements, they hate doing that. But if that's the only way to get a value, they'll do it.
You guys ever had a deal where it was take forever to get the appraiser out? You guys ever had that? Okay, that's because it's difficult to comp and nobody wants to do it.
And they keep going through the roster?
Yeah.
They're going.
Because if they're busy, they'll call an appraisal and give them the address, and they'll just turn it down.
Yeah. They go, no thanks. I can only do 3 a day.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this one.
Or I don't want to drive out to El Reno or whatever it is. Did that help? Everyone's smarter now?
Yay.
Good.
More quick. I need
Yeah.
you to make one announcement. Unless if any other questions
Anyone else?
Just got a quick question. Does it ever happen where you ever look at it kind of from buyer's perspective a little bit? Because we're always looking at the legal edition and the neighborhood. But if there's a neighborhood next door that's kind of selling maybe for less or something, because I'm thinking buyers are looking, across multiple neighborhoods. If there's a bunch of active houses here that are cheaper,
So like lower your price because there's comparable properties that are cheaper? Is that what you're saying?
other neighborhood next door, let's say.
No, because if you've got comps in your neighborhood that's selling for higher, are you familiar with the Village at all? So anyone who lives or works or sells in the Village, west of May is a little larger homes, a little more per foot, a little nicer homes. East of May is a little smaller, a little less per square foot. They're right next to each other.
Yeah, I have a 1,600 square foot house, and two streets down they have 4,000 square foot houses.
Right. So you can't. So in that example, I'm going to comp all my houses west of May if I can, because I know they're going for a little more foot. They're a little larger, 200-300 square foot on average, larger. Or they could go across the street in May and buy a smaller, less expensive house, but it's a different addition. So we're not going to comp it the same. That's a risk. That buyer could go across the street and buy that house, but it's not going to be as big. It's probably not going. Streets aren't going to be as nice. There's going to be more renters usually on the east side from the west, and it's just a different neighborhood. So that's why we don't.
It's literally you go to the next street.
Yeah.
The difference between Nichols Hills
Yeah.
is the next street over.
Oh, yeah.
Versus the Village. So we're in a nice, but it's older houses.
Yeah.
Versus the newer houses where they're
So like
6,000, 8,000 square feet.
Yeah, Westminster and Westchester.
Yep.
There's like 1,100 square foot house here, and then a 3,200 square foot house that back up to each other.
Yep.
So you just got to know, and you got to know that when you're confident. Lynn had one the other day on Westchester, which is the bad street on this side of Greystone, but on this side of Greystone, it's a good street. And I didn't realize that, and I almost told her to comp it like $70,000 lower because I didn't look at it. I just go off the top of my head. So take time to look at that. Like Audrey said, once you go in it, look at the other comps and make sure you're not comping weird ones. But try to stay in your own. Like I said, when I started, that was a good example because we stayed within our own legal edition because there were enough comps. Anything else?
Thanks.
All
I was
right.
going to say, okay, so we
Steve, man.
launched our new website 2 months ago. Some
Charlie.
weird things have happened.
Come on up so they can see you.
Oh,
What's yours?
they won't like it. People from Texas won't like what I'm going to say. So we launched the website 2 months ago, and there's some odd statistics coming out of it, but I want to make sure that you guys do not lose money by not doing this. So we're getting, on average, 1,500 unique visits a month, which means that is a first-time individual IP address that's hit our website. And there's only there are mainly two things that they go to and look at our website. There you go. There you go. One, the listings, and if you'll hit, this is one of the pages they go to. And it starts out with all of our properties first. So it'll go right to those pages. And then the second thing they go to, which is good. What does everybody think the second? This is the number one, which kind of makes sense. What? Our people. Now flip to our people, and here's what we've done. There's no email. If you'll roll down here, there's no email addresses.
Block is first.
There you
Go
go.
to
So,
my picture.
yeah.
Look at that.
Oh wait,
That's-
that's Deborah.
Oh.
Where are you?
There.
Tracy.
I know my hair's so much longer than that.
Yeah. So here's what I'm saying. If people are going to this website to look at your face and look at your picture, and they want to call you, and you're not on here, you are going to lose money.
Well,
Because
some of us aren't on, and we should be.
I know. Is Charlie? Are you not on there?
No.
A lot of
Do you know anything about photography?
Yeah, I do. I also know I sent my headshots to Christy. So where's Christy?
All right, no. There we go. So really, main thing. So if you don't have them, we're doing them in black and white. So just get us a photo. Don't overthink it. Just get us a photo. If you're licensed, we can't put you on there until you get licensed. But get yourself on there. because if there's 1,500 already, and we are doing no SEO optimizations, nothing on. We're not trying to push ourselves to the property and looking at people. So if you're in there and they can get your phone number, we do not want you to miss the opportunity for them to pick up the phone and call you to buy something, because we're starting to now get phone calls into the office, which is very weird for us. It just doesn't normally happen, but now and then if you all ought to read our website, it's got. Has anybody read our content? Okay,
this one.
we're a bit blunt, and it's not the typical real estate. If you looked at, and that's what we did. It's not. It isn't smoozy, and it doesn't start out going. It doesn't start off going like, well, in order to get your house ready, and you should walk through and make sure everything's clean and simple. And we want it, so it's designed to help you guys when you're out calling on for sell by owners. It's designed when you're taking listings. So if you get a client that starts griping at you because you're not selling their house, well, if they'll go to our website, oh, there it is. Yeah. See, there is. Your agent sucks. Told you it was a bit.
That's blunt.
It's a bit blunt. But then you look that your home needs love. Here's what we wanted. We knew that most of our clients, as soon as you list a house with them, the first thing they do is they go, oh, I'm going to go look at what my house looks like on their website. So they go to the website, and we can get them to read this. And if you didn't happen to say all this stuff to them, we will say it. Because then it gets it off of you, and it doesn't come out. So, like, some of you feel uncomfortable.
I don't think I saw that one.
It's true. And then we kept it really, everyone likes different things. They're great. The problem is that your unique taste can run buyers off. Please open a real estate home magazine. So it's not long, right? It's an easy read. Gets right to the point. You don't have to say it. This one, if you start when you're dealing with for sell by owners, boom, stupid approach, right?
This is stupid approach.
So then we go back through, and if you roll down, there is a Dave Ramsey clip, and Dave Ramsey, the guru finance guy, goes right out and says why he says it's stupid to try to sell your house on your own. So why not say it? We think it, but it's not going to be. It's to say things that you can't say. You should not on your for sale by owner appointments go in and go, this is really stupid that you're doing this, right? You can't say that because the deal's going to be over. But after you leave the appointment and you were nice and they liked you and you offered to help them, what do you think they probably will do? Well, Charlie just came and looked at my house. I'm going to see if he's a real realtor. So he goes to our website. He didn't say it was a stupid approach. We did.
And I've had a FSBO say you're not on your website. Because on the old website, I never sent anything in. And I've had people say I couldn't find you. Even clients now, until about 2 weeks ago, said that. So they do, because the number one thing when we were starting this is we had to think about who is actually going to our website. And it's basically our clients and people who are thinking about getting into real estate. That's it. So all these, it's just like you see some people coming when they Google searching for houses, but mostly it's going to be your clients or FSBOs you've talked to that want to come and look at you. See if you're real.
That is real. So everything that we do here, all these classes, are only designed to push you forward and making more money. I hate that thing already. So that's all that's designed for. And our website's that way. And we're also taking where you can go in and search, it shows our homes first, but then it still is allowing people to search everything in the MLS. We are going to block that function. And here's why we're blocking it. We're going to say when Kevo Properties, you hire us to sell your house, we're going to sell your house. We're not going to pimp ourselves out and sell any house in the MLS. Now, we are going to sell any house in the MLS. But on our website, I shouldn't be saying this. Yeah. Somebody's going to get this. But here's the reason why. If we can put on our website and go Kevo Properties only features homes that we have listed because you hired us to sell your house, not everything in the MLS. What I know automatically is going to happen, that gives you another weapon, because Keller Williams, RE/MAX, Century 21, ERA, Coldwell Banker, all do it. All use reciprocity and try to co-sell everything they can get their hands on. We'll be the only one company that says, you hired us to sell your house. That's what we intend to do. And when you go to our website, you're only going to find your house with other Kevo listings. That's what we're going to sell, not everything else. Because we know that if people are looking on Zillow more than they're looking on websites to look for houses, they're going to find it anyway. But when you guys can use it, I mean, how much better is your clients going to feel that your loyalty is to them and this company? That we're going like, we're only going, you hired us. We're going to sell just your house, not everybody else's. None of the other companies are remotely ever going to remove that option off of their website. So they're going to be able to call back and, hey, my KW realtor, you all try to sell everybody's houses on your website? Yes, and then they're going to go through the reason trying to explain it, and it's going to not sound good. And when they're going to go like, well, I'm going to go with the company that only focuses on me and my house. And that's why we're going to do it. And then eventually when we have 80% of the market, that'll be the way it works out.
It will be every house.
It will be every house. But for now, that's what we're going to say. Anything else? So get us your photo.
Send it to Christy.
Yeah.
Send it to Christy.
Thanks, we're done.
Thanks, we're done?
We're done.
Or no,